Hola a todos y bienvenidos. Welcome back, I'm Andrew Barr, this is Real Fast Spanish. In this video, we're going to answer another student's question. Can you please explain how to translate get into Spanish for active and passive causative sentences? So gracias por la pregunta y empezamos. Now, active and passive causative sentences look like this. I got my hair cut. The house got cleaned last week. That got done yesterday. Now I'm going to show you how to translate these sentences into Spanish, but I'm also going to extend the lesson to translating the verb get into Spanish in other contexts because it allows us to talk about an important language learning skill that will elevate your Spanish. And that skill is substitution. So compare the following sentences. I get it. We got the test results last week. I got new shoes for the wedding. I'm going to get permission to hold the concert in the park. When are we going to get there? And I'm getting tired. Now, while all of these sentences use the verb get, they each have a different meaning and will require a different verb in Spanish. And so this skill that all language students need to get better at is looking for a way to substitute first. So how can we say each of these sentences in a slightly different way? So I get it could become I understand it. And of course, the verb for understand in Spanish is entender. So we could say lo entiendo. Next example, we got the test results last week. How else could we say this in English? We received the test results last week. And the verb receive in Spanish is recibir. So, recibimos los resultados de las pruebas la semana pasada. Next example, I got new shoes for the wedding. Now, got new shoes could be I bought new shoes, I borrowed new shoes, I rented new shoes. There's a few ways to translate this from English to Spanish, but let's go with to buy. So I bought new shoes for the wedding. Compré zapatos nuevos para la boda. Next, I'm going to get permission to hold the concert in the park. Now, how else could we say this in English first? We could say something like, I'm going to ask for permission, or maybe I'm going to request permission to hold the concert in the park. Now, to ask for and to request in Spanish is pedir. So we have, voy a pedir permiso para celebrar el concierto en el parque. When are we going to get there? Now, an alternative way to say this in English is, when are we going to arrive? And the verb arrive in Spanish is llegar. So we have cuando vamos a llegar. Now the next one, I'm getting tired. Now this one is a little trickier than the others, but a simple substitution that we could make in English is I'm tired. Now this in Spanish is estoy cansado. Now we could also say in English, I'm tiring out or I'm tiring myself out. Now, this is the reflexive verb in Spanish, cansarse. So, I'm getting tired. We could simply say, mekanso. Now, there are a lot of verbs that look like this, and I could do a whole video on them. So, to get upset, molestarse. To get dressed, vestirse. To get better, mejorarse. So, let me know if you'd like me to do a separate video on this. Next, we have a group of verbs known as phrasal verbs in English. These are verbs like get by, get over, get along, get into, get away with. And so again, we need to look for ways to substitute these phrase combinations before translating them into Spanish. So I can get by with only a few words of French. An alternative English could be I can survive with only a few words of French. Now survive in Spanish is sobrevivir. So we could say, puedo sobrevivir con solo unas pocas palabras de francés. Don't worry, he's going to get over it. Now we have a few alternative verbs in English for this sentence, but the verbs surpass and surmount are good options because they translate really well to the Spanish verb superar. So, no te preocupes, lo va a superar. Next, my wife and my brother get along really well. Now, we could substitute simply here by saying, my wife and my brother have a good relationship. Mi esposa y mi hermano tienen una buena relación. Right? And the powerful thing about this substitution skill in general is that we can find ways to say something with vocabulary that we already have. Like have a good relationship is not too bad. But then as we get more advanced, we can develop our knowledge of words that represent what we want to say more accurately. And so one of the best ways to say get along well with in Spanish is llevarse bien. So, mi esposa y mi hermano se llevan muy bien. Now, another area that's worth being able to spot and use your substitution skill is with colloquial expressions. So for example, get a life. And when we say this in English, what does this really mean? And we can't ask someone to purchase a life or receive a life. And there probably are a few different ways we could interpret this, but a really common one might be when someone is working too hard. You might want to say, you work too much, you need to get a life. Now we could substitute this in English. We could say, you work too much, you need to look for other things to do with your life. Trabajas demasiado, necesitas buscar otras cosas que hacer con tu vida. Next, let's look at the active and passive causative sentences that inspired this video. So, my doctor is getting me to eat more vegetables. Now, in this sentence, we can make a substitution of get with the verb make. So we could say, my doctor is making me eat more vegetables. Now, we can actually translate this fairly easily into Spanish with the verb hacer. So we have, mi médica me hace comer más verduras. Now, my wife got me to return the gift. Again, we could say, my wife made me return the gift. Mi esposa me hizo devolver el regalo. So hopefully you can see that as you develop your ability to substitute, your translations and your ability to express ideas in Spanish will get much better, will improve, which is mejorar. Next, we have sentences like, the house got cleaned last week. In this sentence, we don't have someone making something happen. We aren't saying, I made someone clean the house or my wife made me clean the house. We're saying the house got cleaned and we're not including who did what. Now, in this case, we can go straight for the reflexive form of to clean, which in Spanish is limpiar. So we have, la casa se limpió la semana pasada. That got done yesterday. Here we have done, which translates to the verb hacer. And again, we can go straight for the reflexive form. Eso se hizo ayer. The last situation we're going to look at in this video is using causative sentences with body parts. So for example, I got my hair cut. In this sentence, yes, I made the hairdresser cut my hair. But similar to the house getting cleaned, we can go straight for the reflexive form. But with body parts, we do it to ourselves. So we need to say in Spanish, me corté el pelo. Another example, he broke his leg in 3 places while playing soccer. Se rompió la pierna por 3 sitios mientras jugaba el fútbol. So practice using these constructions. Look for more examples of the verb get that I didn't cover in this video and come up with first your own substitutions and then translate them into Spanish. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe if you aren't already, and then leave any questions or comments you have in the comment section below. Okay, until next time, habla mejor, entiende más.